I'm sitting outside on my deck, and I thought it'd be a good moment to give a little bit of an update about how things are going. So, first of all, I had a medical emergency last weekend, and I was hoping to post about it and blah, 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 but it didn't happen. I will mention a few things at the end. What I really wanted to focus on, and something that's been really fantastic for me, which is that the combination of ADHD and ASD has always made certain things about my eating really complicated, shall we say. So I really like, from the ASD, I really like having a consistent kind of plan, but the ADHD has always made it very difficult for me to execute on that, with a lot of emotional, busy stim eating going on. And so my diet has always been basically a mess. And so since I started the medication, my diet has regularized and stabilized enormously. It's night and day. Big thing that's really important, I eat way less in the evenings than I used to. So again, it's not perfect, but like, I don't snack, I don't have like huge meals in the evenings normally or anything like that like I used to. And so that's good for a whole bunch of reasons health-wise, including, of course, blood glucose, including sleep quality, and so on and so forth. So these are all really amazing things. The other thing is that I have settled on and really been consistent with a very specific healthy breakfast, a very specific healthy lunch. So the breakfast is basically high protein, zero fat Greek yogurt with a bunch of frozen blueberries, a mix of nuts and seeds. And now I also have phytosterols that I add to it, which are supposed to help with blood lipids, cholesterol, stuff like that. Anyway, it's been 100% consistent. I'm doing that every day, no variation. It's been awesome. Second thing is my lunches. It's not quite as stable, but it's really close, which is basically 2 sandwiches with a whole bunch of lettuce, some other veggies. It varies. Could be pickles, could be tomatoes, could be onions, could be jalapenos, and a lot of veggies though, like thick. And then some ham and some cheese, either cream cheese or cheddar cheese, and some mustard. And on a bread that's, what's it called? Carbonate bread. And this is also good for blood glucose because that's, I was pre-diabetic and, seem to be getting better. But anyway, so this regularization has been incredible. And then the other thing is that if I do have an evening meal, it tends to be small. That's not stabilized. I don't have a regular for that yet, but it tends to be small, and I'm loving it. Now, there is an exception, which is that when I do a cycling thing in the evening, I have to load up on carbs a little bit. So, for example, tonight I'm doing a 20-kilometer time trial, and I'm really looking forward to it. Although, being hospitalized for this eye infection, I might end up taking it easier than I would normally. I'd normally just push all out for the whole 20 kilometers, but we'll see. So I have to do a modest carb load for that to prep for it and make sure that I've got the energy to sustain the ride. And so my evening meals in that case might be a little bit bigger than they would normally. Sometimes it's just like a small bowl of a mix of things or whatever, but my evening meals are generally small, which is awesome. Now about this, so it used to look a lot worse, and if I end up editing this, I'll put in like a little photo of how bad it got. But basically, it was a sty on my eyelid, unknown cause, and it rapidly swelled up, and then it got really bad, and then it got infected, and I started feeling pain around my eye, and I'm like, oh damn. So I took myself, well, actually my wife Melanie took me to emergency, and I waited for 11 hours to see a doctor, which made me actually feel surprisingly comfortable because it means it wasn't a super hardcore emergency. But the doctor did end up giving me IV antibiotics to blast it, and I'm now on antibiotics orally and eye drops as well. It's getting much better. This is like almost gone compared to how it was. It was so swollen I could barely open my eye. It was all puffy on my cheek and my upper brow and stuff like that. It was awful. Fortunately, it never actually got into my eye itself. It was just all the skin around my eye. Now, I mention that simply because it means that I've been very, very light in my exercise this week. This happened a week ago, and so I've only had one small bike ride last night just to test how I was feeling. It went well. My goal is really still to lose a bunch of weight and to do much better in my cycling. And also, of course, there's lots of other things related to family and work. I wanted to mention briefly about work. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is building a sales presentation for maxgood.work. And it's also been interesting thinking about how this effort compares to pre-medication. Pre-medication, I would be so distractible. I would be switching back and forth between working on the presentation and other things. I would not be able to say no if there was interruptions. This time around, it's been awesome. I am totally focused. I'm making amazing progress. It is quite a bit of work, so it's not just a single day. That's another thing that's been really great, is I've been able to consistently work on it day to day. And of course, it's absolutely crucial to being able to scale up the business and to make sure that in the future, I'm not the one doing all the sales for the platform. So the medications are helping. Again, not like some miraculous change that some people sort of shared with me, but noticeable. Definitely noticeable. Definitely good. I've gotten some feedback from my chief marketing officer that the presentation is amazing, and so I'm really happy about that as well. Anyway, that's a bit of a longer update, and so hopefully you stay to the end. As usual, like, subscribe, share, follow, whatever it is you like to do. I'm always looking for support. Send comments, feedback, direct messages, and I have continued to hear from people. There's been one guy who messaged me about something called, I think, autistic burnout, and it made me think about something I went through a few years ago. I'll share that as well in a future video. This is getting long. And this is an interesting last little bit. I don't know anyone who does this personally, so I'm very curious about sponsorship or whatever. I mentioned it in, I think, my last video, but I would really like a proper time trial or triathlon bike. My current bike is an awesome one. I think I mentioned it's an Argon 18 Gallium Pro. That's a Canadian company. I'm going to tag them. But it's an incredible bike, but it's a general purpose road bike. It's fantastic, but I would love to have the time trial or triathlon bars, the proper seat, the aerodynamics, etc. of a proper bike like that. If anyone knows any advice about how to get connected to do that sort of thing, I'm an old guy. I don't have a lot of followers, so maybe it's too early, but I'm still putting that out there in the hopes that maybe someone has a connection or some experience they can share with me. So thanks for watching to the end. Appreciate it. And see you next time.